Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zing here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder. I'm still going to be using the Mega Metagross team as you see in my party today, but if you look at my battle box, I do have another team built. I actually streamed last night the February International, and it was a lot of fun. We had over 1,200 viewers at one point, which kind of blew my mind. It's a Mega Slowbro team. It's definitely not very fantastic. I kind of just threw it together, but I'm having fun with it, and I'm probably going to stream some more today and tomorrow, so if you don't follow me on Twitch, definitely give me a follow at twitch.tv/CybertronVGC. Not entirely sure on what the times will be, but most likely in the afternoon or nighttime Eastern time. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Mega Slowbro is a very interesting Mega Evolution, and I will probably feature a different kind of edition of that team on Road to Rank very soon, just because, you know, I do want to change things up now every once in a while, and probably gonna end up changing teams maybe every 4 or 5 days or so. But this Mega Metagross team has been a lot of fun, and we were able to pick up a bunch of wins in the last couple of episodes. Really a bunch of intense games, so we're going to just jump into it right now with a rating of 1865, so we are slowly climbing our way back into the 1900s after a pretty rough streak, and we're going to find an 1874 rated player from Japan for our first opponent of the day, which is good if we want to win some points here. Pretty interesting team as well. Kangaskhan, Excadrill, Bombasnow, Mienshao, Talonflame, and Salamence. Just realized I actually don't have my phone, which I normally use to write down or take my opponent's team down, so I'm just going to write it down so I have reference to it. Bombasnow, Mienshao, Talonflame, Salamence. Okay. Of course, I think one question a lot of times people ask me is like, are you allowed to use your phone to take pictures of your opponent's team at events? Not really, but normally I have a notebook, but having a phone just simplifies the time when I do it for Road to Ranked and whatnot. But let's see here. So, I think the most interesting things are the Mienshao, the Abomasnow, and the Kangaskhan, mainly because Abomasnow there's probably not going to be the Mega Evolution. We've seen Mega Abomasnow on Paul Chua's previous team, and it's funny I mentioned Paul because he was on yesterday's episode, but I don't know, I think it's going to be something like Scarf here. It's a very hyper-offensive team on my opponent's end for sure. One that's actually pretty weak to Rotom Wash, and yeah, okay, I'm going to lead with Rotom Wash and Gengar. Conkeldurr basically beats everything, as long as it doesn't take a flying type attack from the Talonflame or Salamence. And it's also interesting because my opponent has Salamence here. I'm not sure whether it's Mega or not. Which is also kind of interesting. And for the last one, I don't know. I don't think my opponent's going to bring a Abomasnow because I have Metagross. The question is, do I actually end up bringing Metagross or not? I mean, it's still a pretty solid call here, I think. But Landorus is also tempting because I can Earthquake and Rock Slide everything, but I'd have to avoid the Abomasnow. I'm leaning towards Metagross because if I don't bring Metagross, then I actually have, other than Rotom, I don't have resists to the Ice type attacks. Landorus is kind of tempting here as well. Tough call to make. I am going to go with, you know, I opted for Landorus here. I think one thing I have to learn when I use this Mega Metagross team is I don't need to always bring Mega Metagross. Like, I have seen a bunch of you guys comment that previously, and it's a good point. Just because, like, when I have Metagross, it's tempting to bring it in every match. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's also not terrible in this match. I guess the main reasons why I didn't want to bring it is Kangaskhan can Sucker Punch it, and even though I have Substitute, it's also scary. He's got Excadrill, which I'm very scared of as well as a Metagross user. So he's going to lead with Salamence and Mienshao against my Gengar and Rotom Wash, which is not bad. Because I actually get a free Icy Wind off immediately here. So I think the safe play here is just to protect Icy Wind. And it's not like he has any Defiant users either. And I don't want Rotom to take any chip damage. So I'm just going to go for the Protect. Though, of course, Mienshao is a Pokemon that gets access to Feint, so that could be annoying if my opponent decides to, like, Feint and then, I don't know, Draco it. But Rotom Wash is one of the better checks of Mega Salamence, so I'm not sure what Salamence set this is. Could be something like a special variant, though the physical one, like I said, is the one that I see more often. But Fake Out is just going to go into Rotom. Icy Wind connects with both Pokemon, which is absolutely fantastic for me here. Going to do a ton of damage to the Salamence and the Mienshao. You know, the special attack EVs really come in handy when you use Gengar, which is why even support Gengar set doesn't need investment. As the Mienshao actually has the eject button, which is interesting because more commonly it has the Focus Sash, but I guess Abomasnow is going to come in here if my opponent is running it did bring Abomasnow. But it's going to be Excadrill, which is good news here. Mold Breaker, of course. And, yep, just going to launch a Hyper Voice off. So it is special Salamence, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. Now I would think this Excadrill is Scarfed. That would be my best bet. See, he's got Mold Breaker with... I kind of want to just Thunderbolt the Salamence and Icy Wind here. Because once Salamence goes down, then Conkeldurr does really well. And I don't want to switch into my Landorus right now, because I don't want Landorus to take any damage. Because Salamence, of course, can just spam Hyper Voices. Yeah. Let's think this through. Yeah, I'm just gonna T-Bolt here. Hopefully that knocks it out, and Icy Wind. Though I'm not sure if Thunderbolt can actually knock it out here. And yep, it is gonna be Scarf Excadrill, which is, like I said, what I anticipated. So unfortunately, Rotom actually takes a huge amount of damage from there. Let's see. I mean, if Salamence goes for a Hyper Voice, Rotom should be able to survive since it's Flying type. Yep, he does go for a though it is single target, so let's see. Okay, yeah, Rotom takes that with 20 HP left. And I do get the Thunderbolt off. Let's see if it knocks it out. Oh, it actually misses out on the knockout, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to switch in Landorus, but now things are even trickier. I should have switched out there. I think Landorus could have taken some extra damage, but oh well. Okay, so the Excadrill is locked into Earthquake, so I don't know. I would think my opponent would want to switch it out. Let's see. So I would guess my opponent's last one is Talonflame, so I don't feel too bad locking myself into Rock Slide right now. So I'm gonna go for Rock Slide. The question is, do I protect with Rotom here? Or I could also switch it out. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually gonna switch out into Conkeldurr and Rock Slide. So even if Excadrill stays in, you know, that's fine. But my opponent is going to withdraw Excadrill. I was considering Hydro Pumping that slot as well, as Mienshao is going to come back in. Okay. Yeah, man, it would have been nice to get that prediction off, right? But at least I conserve the Rotom, meaning if I want to switch Landorus and switch it back in, I can, you know, remove the lock that the move that I lock myself into, as Landorus goes for the Smart Protect. So yeah, or Salamence. So I missed the Rock Slide there. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered, but extra chip damage is always nice. So now my opponent can just Fake Out. So I'm just going to Mach Punch Sments and Rock Slide, because that way I ensure the knockout onto it. Unless my opponent chooses just to attack with the Mienshao. But Salamence is the biggest threat right now, obviously, because he can get Hyper Voice off. But he's actually going to withdraw it, which is a good play on my opponent's end, as Talonflame is going to be my opponent's last one. Fake Out onto Landorus, yep. Good play. Yeah, my opponent's been making really good plays so far, as obviously Mach Punch doesn't do anything there. If Mienshao is Wide Guard, I am done for. If it doesn't, then I basically win, I think, but it's going to come down to that. I'm going to switch out to Rotom here and just Rock Slide. Oh, man. Basically, because if I knock out Talonflame, then Conkeldurr beats all of my opponent's remaining Pokemon. But the main issue about this game is I've taken way too much damage with my Pokemon. As Talonflame goes for the Brave Bird. Okay. Does the target down the Rotom Wash spot. Nice prediction. Oh, wow. That's definitely banded. Rock Slide connects with both. Okay. So, while I didn't need to switch out Conkeldurr there, I realized Conkeldurr was my win condition. I just couldn't afford losing it. But that was a great play, Brave Birding the Landorus slot. He goes for the high jump kick, and wow, it misses Rotom. So, that's why high jump kick is such a terrible move, because when you miss, you do that much damage to yourself. So, unfortunate for my opponent there, but whoa. I would have been fine if my opponent got that knockout, but the main thing is now... Yeah, I mean, that's big, because now he's in KO range. That was big. So basically, if my opponent didn't miss high jump kick, Rotom would have been knocked out. I get a free switch into Conkeldurr, then I could just Rock Slide and Drain Punch. I mean, my win condition was really playing around and using this Conkeldurr to win the match. So So let's say he hit the rock slide there, or he hit the high jump kick. Rotom would have fainted. Well, I would have brought in out my Conkeldurr there. He would have definitely protected with Men, so I would just rock slide, Drain Punch, knock out the Mienshao. Then the following turn, I could Mach Punch the Salamence, and then Conkeldurr beats the Excadrill. I mean, it would have come down to damage rolls and how offensive the Excadrill really is, though I think I could have taken over 2 Earthquakes, but very fortunate turn of events there. So I'm just going to T-Ball and Rock Slide here. Yeah, my opponent's not even going to bother protecting. So I thought Mienshao might have Wide Guard because that's a move that I can often use, but it actually doesn't. So I'm going to actually be able to knock out both of my opponent's Pokemon. I don't really know why he brought in Salamence over Excadrill, because Excadrill could have at least put on some more offensive pressure with Rock Slide. Though I guess he realized like there was no way Excadrill was beating all 3 of my Pokemon. So I don't think the high jump kick miss really mattered, but I'm sure that threw my opponent off a bit as well. As obviously Excadrill is going to be my opponent's last one. So I'm going to just... I wonder what move he's going to lock himself into. I mean, Conkeldurr basically wins this. And he has to lock himself into Rock Slide, actually, otherwise he just loses. So in anticipation of that, I mean, Landorus is Scarfed and outspeeds and gets Earthquakes off too. So like I said, okay, yeah, my opponent can't beat all 3 of my Pokemon, so he's just going to end up forfeiting there. So yeah, I mean, it was a scary turn when it was Gengar and Rotom Washout against a Mold Breaker Excadrill. That's, you know, that I predict was Choice Scarfed. And like I said, I didn't want the Landorus to take any damage because really at the end, the reason why I was able to win was because it was able to survive and get a Rock Slide off. My opponent probably wasn't anticipating my Landorus being that bulky, but it was able to clutch out a win there. So pretty cool team for my opponent. It's not every day you see Mienshao and Excadrill being used, and yeah, it was just really intense, but I think Gengar coming out in terms of lead matchup was really good, and ultimately I'm very glad I did not bring Metagross. Landorus was definitely the right call because my opponent basically had every Pokemon that could have beaten Metagross, so we're going to end up taking a win there, which is great, putting us at 1882, so now only 18 points away from reaching 1900 again, which is awesome. Also, if you guys, didn't hear in yesterday's video, I have a bunch of exciting things I'm announcing for the channel, basically tomorrow. I'm starting a bunch of new series. I'm actually going to be shooting some of the videos today, hopefully. 1896 rated player from Japan for our next opponent, so we might actually reach 1900 again with the win here, but we'll see. But yeah, lots of awesome content planned, so stay tuned, guys. I am really excited for you guys to see it, and the channel's going to expand way more beyond Road to Ranked, even though Road to Ranked is a ton of fun. But let's get into this battle. My opponent has a team of Landorus T, Raikou, Suicune, Volcarona, Kangaskhan, and Aegislash. So I'm just going to quickly write that down. Lando T, Raikou, Suicune, Volk, Kang, and Aegislash. Of course, it's always helpful to write your opponent's team down. One question I always get a lot is, what are you writing down in your notebook when people see me at VGC events? And most of the times it's just my opponent's Pokemon because it makes predicting a lot easier. Sometimes your opponent's going to want to switch out in a position, so you can use 2 moves in that slot to guarantee neutral damage and allow yourself to do like over 50% to anything. So that is why I would like to write my opponent's team down, just because there's really no downside to it, other than like taking too much time and running out of time. But a pretty scary team for my opponent here, especially the Suicune, the Raikou, and the Volcarona. Rotom Wash does pretty well here, so I'm going to lead with that. It can really put on offensive pressure against the Lando, the Volk, and the Suicune right away. Now I would lead with Lando, but Lando is not exactly the smartest call against Suicune, which I think my opponent might lead with. As Gengar is always kind of a safe pick as well. I don't know though, actually. I think I'm going to go with Lando, because if my opponent brings Suicune, Rotom obviously just beats that. So I'll go with Landorus. I kind of need Hydreigon here to beat the Aegislash. And for the last one, it's between Conkeldurr and Metagross. I think Conk might actually be a better call here. So, weird that I end up not bringing Metagross in either of the matches today, but I don't know. Metagross doesn't fare too well against a Lando T, which can intimidate it after I Mega Evolve. It doesn't do too much damage to Suicune, which is most often defensively invested, as you've seen me use Suicune previously. Volcarona, if you guys watched Road to Ranked a couple of days ago, has Flame Body, which is, first of all, annoying to deal with as it is. As my opponent, I don't know if he ran out of time there, if he got it in on time, but this should be an interesting match. Obviously, he had a higher rating than me as well, so win here would probably put either of us over 1900, which is pretty exciting. I know it's been an interesting climb back and forth, but I've been having a lot of fun, and this team is finally putting itself together. I think Rotom Wash and Landorus were really great additions, as my opponent actually goes with Aegislash and Suicune, which is a pretty optimal lead matchup here. However, the one thing I have to be careful of is Aegislash is a Pokemon that often has Wide Guard, so I actually don't want to just Earthquake here, because I think he might just Wide Guard with Aegislash. I mean, Earthquake is such a predictable play here. What I want to do is Hydro Pump the Raikou and U-turn, because I think he might go for something like a Wide Guard HP Ice. And Wide Guard would make sense on my opponent's team, given he's got Volcarona as well, and Volcarona doesn't like taking Rock Slides. I'm going to predict a Wide Guard here. I mean, even if my opponent doesn't go for it, it's not like Raikou and Aegislash can do too much against a Rotom, and I'm going to get a free switch into whatever I have in the back. Though there's a good chance Raikou protects her as well. I don't know, though. I don't think... I think my opponent's either going to switch out or reveal the Wide Guard. So, we'll see. But, like I said, that's definitely pretty not creative. I mean, yeah, it is creative. It's just a lead that I have not seen in VGC, like, really ever. Raikou's a pretty interesting Pokemon in itself. I actually really like it and want to test it out because of its speed. You know, it's able to outspeed those 110s and 108s and whatnot. So my opponent, yep, is going to withdraw the Raikou, so maybe he doesn't have the Wide Guard. But it's going to be Landorus T coming in. This is fantastic for me if I connect with the Hydro Pump. So I'm really hoping I don't miss because I really needed to hit here. Or I don't need it to hit, but man, I can't tell you how good it would be if I were able to connect. So I'm going to be able to U-turn out, getting rid of that Intimidate, and that's going to obviously reset, and I'm going to be able to switch it back in. And let's see. I'm going to bring in... let's see, based on what my opponent has, okay, I'm gonna bring in Hydreigon just so I can Dark Pulse this Aegislash the next turn if it chooses to attack. Hydro Pump connects with Landorus, that's great. I'm not sure if we'll be able to knock it out since I'm not a very offensive Rotom. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to. As Aegislash does go for the attack, stance changing, let's see who it targets. Gonna go for the Shadow Ball into Rotom. Oh, getting the special defense drop, that actually hurts me a lot. Because if this is Scarf Landorus, then he can just go for a superpower. This is actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch out to my own Landorus. And Dark Pulse the... Well, I could... I'm going to Dark Pulse here, expecting him to not King Shield. And we'll also see what item the Landorus has here, but the Intimidate should make it so I can survive a superpower, and then his Landorus will be at -1 attack and defense, so my Landorus can just Rock Slide. I would normally stay in here and play safer with Rotom Wash, but the special defense drop means he can probably KO me with another Shadow Ball, given that he did 66 damage that first time around. So it might have come down to a damage roll, but I'm not going to play that risk, so I'm going to just withdraw this Rotom, make sure it doesn't take any additional damage. It was still a pretty good first turn for me there, though. So I'm going to get in my own Landorus, getting the attack decrease, namely on the Lando. But he is going to stance change, okay. So I should have protected with my Hydra there. I might eat a superpower here, I guess we'll see. Let's see. And I outspeed too, okay. Yep, he does go for the superpower, so I should have just targeted the Landorus slot. So like I said, I'm going to be able to survive that superpower, which is fine. He's probably going to want to withdraw that Landorus. I also do confirm it's not Banded or Scarf. It's probably Assault Vest, given that it survived that Hydro Pump. Let's see. So I'm actually going to Earthquake here and Dark Pulse. I want to knock out Aegislash. It's definitely the bigger threat. I don't care about this Landorus right now because you can Superpower to knock out my Hydreigon, but then you'll be at -1 to attack and defense. So it's not a big threat right now, and looking at my opponent's team, he has no other Pokemon that can take Earthquake on his team. So if he does switch out the Landorus, whatever comes in is going to be taking an Earthquake. So I feel pretty good about my position right now. That last turn got a bit careless. I should have just made the safe Protect with Hydreigon. I thought, you know, my opponent might have been on the more offensive end. You know, if he was something like Scarf Landorus, which I was assuming it to be, he could just Scarf Superpower my Hydreigon and Shadow Ball the Rotom Wash to pick up a double knockout. So that was the play I was anticipating. Instead, my opponent played it safer, which was a nice lead on his end. So as a result, I end up taking extra damage with the Hydreigon. But momentum is definitely still in my favor since I got out my Landorus, and my Landorus threatens his team a lot. Looks like he's going to stay in with both of his Pokemon, though. So that Landorus is at -2. I'm not even sure if another superpower can knock out this Hydreigon. Most important thing is I'm going to be able to knock out this Aegislash with the double target. Though actually Hydreigon's going to take Life Orb recoil damage, so I'm probably going to faint here. But I'm fine with that. Especially because this Landorus is just useless after this turn, because he's probably going to go for another superpower. Yep. That's going to launch it into Hydreigon. See how much damage it does. Yep, does pick up the knockout, but like I said, I am fine with that. So looking at my opponent's team, you know, he's got Lando T, Raikou, Suicune, Volcarona, Kangaskhan, Aegislash. Aegislash was actually the biggest threat to my team, because other than Hydreigon, I didn't have a great way to hit it, which is why I tried to aggressively target it down. So, let's see. I think Rotom Wash, it's the safer call to bring in here. But Conkeldurr would threaten the Kangaskhan right away. Let's see. This is actually a pretty tough call. Basically, if I bring in Rotom Wash, then he can just double edge that slot for a KO. Whereas if I bring in Conkeldurr, he can't KO me if he brings in his Kangaskhan, which I think he will. You know what? I'm going to bring in Rotom Wash. I think Kang is going to come in here, though. Let's see. Oh, no, that's Volcarona, I believe. Sweet! That is awesome news for me right now. So now, there's an interesting question. Do I switch out my Landorus or not to get the Rock Slide? But I'm actually not going to switch out. I am just going to Earthquake here and Hydro Pump, because I'm Scarfed. And he can't really switch into Raikou. I mean, if Raikou switches in, it's going to take an Earthquake. So I actually feel really, really good about my position right now, and bringing in Rotom Wash was a great call, just because Rotom Wash deals with Volcarona pretty well. So, quite the intense game right now, but I am feeling very good about my position. This Landorus is just be able to put on so much offensive pressure, and, you know, that's why I made the play I did last turn, because I knew Aegislash was the bigger threat. I knew I couldn't knock it out in one hit, because Life Orb Dark Pulse isn't enough. Especially because I'm running a Timid Hydreigon this time around. As you may have noticed, I'm not using the same shiny Hydreigon, changing things up a bit. That's mainly because my Modest Hydreigon is actually currently in my battle box for the International Challenge. But, yeah. So my opponent's in a really bad position because this Landorus can't do anything. It can probably Rock Slide, but it's at -2 attack. So he's going to stay in with both. He's not going to protect with the Volcarona either, so I'm going to get the Earthquake off, which does a sizable amount there. He goes for the knockoff onto Rotom Wash. That's actually a great play, getting rid of my Citrus Berry. As he goes for the Overheat. Oh, okay. Onto Lando. That's just not going to knock me out. Yeah. Look at that. Careful Landorus takes that like a champ. Hydro Pump. Oh, misses Volcarona. That's to be expected, but still, it's never easy missing those. But I don't know. My opponent overheating just puts himself in even a worse position because now the Volcarona's at -2. So I'm just going to Earthquake and Hydro once again. Yeah, I can't expect to hit every Hydro Pump, but I was lucky enough to hit the original one, Landorus. And, yeah, I am curious as to what item it has, given that it's not, I mean, it's revealed. I think it is going to be Assault Vest, maybe, but I don't know. Because my Rotom has, like, no special attack EV, so I would think Hydro Pump would do that much without the AV, but I don't exactly know my AV Landorus damage calcs. But, I mean, he hasn't used Protect yet, so there's a good chance it is. Otherwise, it could be something like Yache Berry, which also works, but, yeah, like I said, my opponent just can't switch out right now. That's why I didn't switch out with Landorus, because right now I just put on offensive pressure and I punish any potential switches. And Earthquake is still a 3-hit KO, and he is going to finally withdraw that Landorus, but this Raikou is obviously going to be taking an Earthquake, which is not good. And since I'm Scarfed, I can still outspeed him next turn as well. I'd anticipate Volcarona protecting here, but let's see. He's not going to protect, okay. So I get another free Earthquake off against the Raikou, super effective, and the Volcarona. Doesn't knock out either, but does basically enough. A good tailwind from the Volcarona, though. I was anticipating that the last turn, honestly, but nice move to try to get back into this game. Let's see if Hydro connects here. Does connect with the Volcarona, knocking it out, which is fantastic. And Landorus T should actually be able to close out this game by itself, since Landorus T really one of the best Pokemon. Not Landorus T, Conkeldurr, excuse me. My Conkeldurr should be able to seal up the game, because Conkeldurr deals with his Raikou and his Landorus T pretty well, as he's going to bring in the his Landorus once again. So let's see. I'm actually just going to Earthquake and Hydro Pump. There's no need to switch out here. I don't really want to. I also want to scout out for what moves. He's going to go for the T-Bolt onto Rotom, so he's not even going to be able to knock out the Lando, or the Rotom at that matter, but he does go for the Rock Slide, so playing for flinches at this point, so if I don't flinch, then obviously I just win. Let's see. Yep, and I don't get the flinch, which is great, so that should be game here. Really intense match, though. Now it's interesting because I'm actually forced to Earthquake myself. So if Earthquake like double crits here, I might lose. And since I don't have Protect with Conk, I have to just Ice Punch here. Yep. Oh, man. This might actually happen. Okay, no. I think even if I crit myself here, I'm alright. Let's see. 137. Yeah, that was fine. I could have taken a crit. And I get the Ice Punch off. That should knock out the Landorus T. Wow. Really intense 2 games today. That first one, obviously, I got a bit lucky with the high jump kick miss. The second one was just intense. I mean, that first turn played out perfectly, despite him not having wide guard on Aegislash. You know, I knew that play would give me the most, yeah, just like, it was one of those safe plays. I mean, it would have been bad if he protected with Raikou that turn and just attacked with the Aegislash, but he ended up not going for it. So I'm going to end up winning that game. Just going to quickly jump on to see what my ranking is. It might be exactly like 1900 or a bit lower, since my opponent's, it might be 1899. It's going to be 1898 to 1900. Yeah, it's going to be 1898. So we are now 1 win away from reaching the 1900s. So that's cool, you know, since I was up there a while ago and then had a while where we fell down and then changed teams up. So I think it would be really cool if I had one more episode with this team and then change things up for the next week for Road to Ranked. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's been doing really well in the last couple of days. But yeah, I mean, I'll be talking about all of this in the announcement video that I'm making tomorrow about all the new series and basically my plans for this channel the next couple of months and whatnot. But yeah, that's it for this episode, guys. It was really awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Always cool to see really interesting Pokemon like Mienshao, Volcarona, Raikou, etc. So hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, leave a like if you did, and I shall see you tomorrow. Alright, peace.